Hey crafty friends, today we are creating this lovely card using products from the Friendship collection. There are a variety of cutting dies. We're using Hello Butterfly, the Smile cutting die, along with the Kindness Matters 6x8 stamp set. To add some shimmer, Falling Snow glitter glaze was a must. I prepped a few pieces in advance and I stamped the flowers using the Raven Detail ink. I'm using alcohol markers to color. We're going to go ahead and add some music while you watch me color. Feel free to fast forward to the next step. I hope you had some fun watching me color. It's always exciting to see what our end product is after we're done working magic with our markers. So now it's time for me to grab my scissors so I can do some fussy cutting. I actually enjoy fussy cutting. It is definitely therapy for me. So I'm going to work my way around the main flowers, keeping the rest of the card panel intact, as it is going to fit perfectly on my A2 card base. I did cut this panel at 4¼ by 5½ prior to my stamping. That way I knew exactly how much space I needed when I was cutting around the flowers, as well as understanding that I didn't need to go back and do any trimming to the actual length of this panel. Now that I'm done with the cutting, I'm going to be taking a black marker and going around the edges of the image. This just really helps remove any of the white core that may be showing from when I cut, if I didn't perfectly cut on the black lines, as well as it just really makes the image pop. So you'll see that as the panel is attached to the actual card base, how it just gives it some dimension. Pretty cool technique that I learned from Jennifer McGuire. She's the best. So once I've done that, I added some 3D foam tape. I do like dimensions, so that was very necessary for me. After I finished that, I wanted to add some glitz and shimmer, and I was able to do that with the Fallen Snow glitter glaze. As you can see, I used my finger. I didn't quite think about how I was going to apply it. My finger was there and accessible, so I just went ahead, dipped my finger in that glitter glaze, and wiped it on the flowers. So I wanted the flowers to sparkle, not really the greenery or anything like that. So you can see me just literally anywhere I had flower, that is where I put this glitter glaze. And then I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side and allow it to dry. Really hoping it'll be dry by the time we go to the next step. So next up, I wanted to stamp Sending You a Big Hug and do that randomly, still using, a purple color to sort of match and mirror what I have going on in the flowers, but a little bit lighter. So you can see I started at the top of the cardstock, and I'm using Heather cardstock and a Catherine Pooler ink. And I didn't do a good job when I started off with that first stamp. So I turned over my cardstock. I'm not going to waste it, but I also didn't like the way it looked. So I'm trying again, starting at the very top, and I'm going to work my way down to the bottom. I did make sure I stayed to the right-hand side, and I staggered the sentiment just a bit, so it wasn't lined up perfectly. And that made it much easier because I didn't take the time to measure anything. I'm just randomly stamping. All right, so once I had that done, I'm still allowing my flowers to dry over there. But now I'm going to get my sentiment ready to go. So I had cut out the shadow outline in Not Your Mama's cardstock. And then I cut out the actual hello wording using a black mirror cardstock. So I'm going to be adhering that to the shadow outline using my Barely Arts glue. And it's just a wonderful sentiment. I really, really love the font. It's like one of my faves. So I'm sure you'll love it too. So now I'm adding some 3D foam tape to the back. It is on the thinner side because I didn't want too much dimension since I have dimension underneath the flowers as well. I'm going to get this paneled adhered to my A2 card base, so I'm adding some adhesive to the panel. And I'm lining it up to make sure that it's perfect. I'm not seeing any white. And voila. My next step was to remove the backing from the 3D foam tape I have behind my flower panel. And as you can see my hands, they look like they are in something wet because they are. So my glitter glaze, when I picked this up, I noticed it was not dry yet. I have some areas that were lightly coated and some that had a little bit more on it, and those areas are wet. So if I had to redo this, I would most likely put my panel onto the card base and then add the glitter glaze. But I really was trying to make sure that I did have a little bit of drying time, so when I add the sentiment, I wouldn't have an issue with it sticking to the panel. All right, so next up I had to add some splatter. I love splattering. And what better color to splatter in than violet? So I used my violet aqua pigment, and I'm just adding splatters all over the card. More so to the left-hand side where I have the flowers, but I do have a couple splatters that are over the sentiment as well. So I took my backing off of 3D foam tape I have here. I only needed to put 3D foam tape on the front half. So now our hello sentiment is attached. That is one of the main focal points. And it looks all so wonderful, exactly where it is on top of those flowers. I'm loving it so far. So to finish off the card, I am using some paper sequins. The Smile Cutting die has two pretty awesome dies in it, and one of them is a large and the other a small sequence. So you can use any paper that you have in your stash and make these sequins. And if you look at the last couple cards that I've created, you see that I've used them. And I think I use glitter paper as well as I love the precious metals, you know, and the silver, the rose gold, and the gold. It's just lovely. So I added a few to the bottom half of the card, and I'm adding a few to the top half of the card. And that is exactly what I need as the final touches to completing this card. Whoever created that die set is a genius. I absolutely love that I can use paper in any pattern or any color to add sequins to a card. So here we have it. This is also fun and such an exciting card to make. So hopefully you've learned some cool techniques and tricks, and you'll try your hand at creating your own happy ending. Thank you for watching.